Imagine this, you are playing a premier match on arguably one of the best maps in the pool. Nuke! You won an eco round and pick up an M4 from the ground. You think to yourself, enemy is echoing. I should hold ramp. You make your way through T-spawn, through lobby to ramp, and you wait, hunting for your prey. You get bored in the meantime, so you start inspecting your weapon. And then, your enemy, with no knowledge other than pressing A and D, does this. He basically killed you before you even got a chance to react. What you just saw is Peeker's advantage. If you are a veteran in the FPS shooter genre, you probably already know what this infamous term is. But for the newbies, don't worry, I got you. You see, in every FPS game, Peeker's advantage is a common problem. It is a result of ping difference, since you are most probably playing with players miles away from you. And since you are playing on hosted servers rather than local servers, input delay joins forces with ping difference to cause Peeker's advantage. In this video, I'm going to explain how Peeker's advantage works and how it affects CS2's core gameplay. As we all know, CSGO used to work on a tick-based system to register inputs. Most official servers used to operate on 64 ticks each second. But with the transitioning from CSGO to CS2, Valve replaced the system with a new system, the subtick system. Basically, with the old system, if the server detects an input, it would wait for the next tick to register this input, while in the new system, the input is immediately registered when it is detected. On paper, the 64 tick seems to be way inferior to subtick. I mean, the server immediately responds to your inputs, hence making the game mechanically better, right? Well, that's not the case. Let me explain. Although Valve claims that CS2 completely operates on subtick, the game is still hard-coded on 64-tick. Subtick only applies mostly to movement, animations, hit registration, and some other client-sided stuff. But when it comes to perspectives, FPS tracers, running and gunning, and so on, these operate with ticks. To simplify what I mean, take this clip for an example. The peeker here is heading to connector on vertigo, where he has info that an AWPer is holding connector from CT, which technically puts the peeker in a disadvantage, as if the AWPer has fast reflexes, he dies. Here is where the system shines. When the peeker peeks, his movement is immediately registered, because it is subtick. But since the holder's perspective waits for the next tick to register the peeker's movement, the peeker gets more time to react and adjust his crosshair if needed, while the holder barely has milliseconds to react, that is, if he didn't die immediately. Just look at the difference in perspective. The peeker can see the holder's body while the holder barely sees the peeker's hands. If we take each perspective to measure how much time each player has to react, we can see that the peeker has 14 milliseconds to react, while the holder has only 8 milliseconds to react, setting a huge advantage for the peeker. The difference between perspectives and numbers is far from hefty for casual players like me and most people, but these numbers matter a lot in the pro scene of Counter-Strike. Since most pros have to be lightning quick with their reactions, so it comes to no surprise that every millisecond matters in the pro scene, especially when you are facing opponents with thousands of hours on the game. Peeker's advantage was popularized by a pro player that goes by the name of Xantares. It's highly evident how much of an impactful role he played in popularizing Peeker's advantage. You see, ever since CSGO was around, Xantares was known for his fast and effective peaks, and with Peeker's advantage growing more severe in CS2, Xantares' peaks got better and better, and it was way harder for any pro who's facing Xantares to win a duel against him. Just look at it. Almost no one is going to be fast enough to react to his peaks. It got to the point where, if you know that Xantares is on the other side, you are better off retreating and not risking a duel. So the community started adapting to this peak, and now even a 4K ELO knows how to peak effectively without dying. And now if you died due to Peeker's advantage, you are claimed to have got Xantares peak. You may ask now, how is this issue solvable? Well, the solutions are rather limited. Peeker's advantage can be fixed as of right now because of desync, but its severance can be reduced significantly. The best and most efficient way is to drop subtick as it is and integrate 128-tick servers, which was already requested by the community, but Valve with all the accumulated resources and experience still refused to do this, for quite a wild reason which I will get to later on in the video. Another solution is to try and make perspective simulation operate on subtick rather than 64-tick, so that perspectives and movement are synced together. But take this solution with a grain of salt, as I'm not a game developer, and I'm not sure if it's even possible to do such a thing. But factually speaking, I think it can solve Peeker's advantage a bit. A lot of people pleaded with Valve to abandon this system and go for 128-tick, or if not abandon it, at least improve it. But of course, no fucks were given. Valve refused to switch to 128-tick in CSGO because they said that it is hardware intensive, and many users won't be able to run the game upon the integration of 128-tick. But then they release CS2, which is a huge graphical leap over CSGO, rendering their low-end players dead. I mean, the graphical update isn't bad at all, but it just doesn't make sense. How can you claim that 128 tech will cause lots of players to quit because of how hard it is to run on older devices, but then proceed to release a game with a completely different engine that requires actual decent hardware to run smoothly? It's beyond me. But then, it's Valve. Maybe after some time they find a way to fix something.